RFM News for our sponsor Guardia Jewellery, Toronto Town Square and the Esplanade, Warners Bay.
It's 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Christine Sheridan with 2NURFM Hunter News. Police have charged a man after an ambulance paramedic was assaulted at the Calvary Mater Hospital last night. The 48-year-old man was waiting with paramedics on a trolley in the triage area before it became unstable, where the man then allegedly punched a male paramedic twice in the face. He was later charged with assault and granted conditional bail to appear in Newcastle local court next month. Wallsend MP Sonia Hornery says our paramedics deserve to be treated a lot better.
Our ambulance staff, our paramedics deserve to be able to undertake their job in safety, and the only way we're going to do that is make sure that we have the resources and staff for paramedics to be able to protect themselves.
The EPA has issued Inland Petroleum with penalty notices and official cautions after a dangerous goods compliance inspection at Kooragang. The company received a $2,000 fine and the driver a $260 penalty notice after it was discovered the truck was being driven with no dangerous goods transport documentation and incorrect identification numbers on the emergency information panels. EPA Hunter Manager Adam Gilligan says incorrect documentation poses a large risk to emergency workers.
One of the issues is that if a dangerous goods vehicle is involved in an accident, it's really important that emergency services can establish quickly from the transport documentation what's actually on board and what control measures they need to put in place to perhaps fight a fire or contain a spill. And so not having that information on board can put the driver and others around, including emergency responders, at risk.
Air quality in regions of the Hunter Valley will come under scrutiny today in a meeting held by the nation's environment ministers. Communities around the Hunter area have called for more to be done to reduce coal dust pollution, suggesting tougher standards are needed. Shadow Environment Minister Penny Sharp says a national clean air agreement will ensure for better controls around air pollution.
The National Clean Air Agreement sets out a range of standards and actions that state governments and federal government will take to make our air as clean as possible. Today they're going to be looking at standards around fine particle pollution, and a tightening of those will mean that they're going to have to take more action to try and deal with issues like coal dust and wood fires to ensure that the air that we breathe is as clean as possible.
Concerns are being raised for students with autism in the Hunter as there are fears they are being let down in schools due to a lack of resources. There are currently several government initiatives and communities to provide learning support for students across the state through regular and specialist support classes. But CEO of Disability Advocacy New South Wales Mark Grierson says more resources needs to be available to teachers and students.
One thing I have heard a lot from parents, and that's saying if the schools had more teachers' aides and more experience in dealing with autism spectrum disorder, that may be a great step forward.
Parking at Newcastle's Calvary Mater Hospital has just become a whole lot easier with the opening of more than 250 new car spaces to the general public. The project, which began earlier in the year, now brings the total number of car parking spaces at the hospital to over 970. Hunter New England Health Chief Executive Michael Dorenzo says the extra spaces have been made available by the transformation of an old water reservoir.
We've utilised some of the surplus water board land that we purchased from the water board a few years ago, and what we've done is we've used one of the old reservoirs in converting that into a 273 car parks, and that opened yesterday. And that's a staff car park, so we'll be asking our staff to park there during the day. And what that means is it frees up then the equivalent number of spaces in the general parking stations and parking areas within the hospital campus.
In finance, the All Ords is up at 14 points at 49.96 and $1 Australian is buying 72.53 US cents.
Sport, thanks to our sponsor, Warners Bay Sports Club.
The Newcastle Knights veteran physician Peter McGeoch is looking to finish up with the club after 24 years of treating players. McGeoch is the longest-serving club doctor in the NRL and is reportedly considering stepping down from his position to concentrate on his own practice. His longtime colleague, sports injury specialist Neil Halpin, is also understood to be contemplating his future. Despite being out of action due to injury, Muswellbrook golfer Kurt Barnes is already targeting an April return to the fairways. The vintage-based professional will spend the summer resting in hopes of being fit for the Japan Golf Tour. Barnes had a full reconstruction to repair his rotator cuff and bursa and will miss a number of Australian majors during recovery. And in racing, Maitland trainer driver Darren Elder is preparing to target the Group 1 Victoria and Hunter Cups in the new year after wrapping up his 17-day Inter-Dominion campaign with Shannon's a Blast. That's sport. I'm Reece Wicks.
2NURFM news time is 1:05.